So this video is completely unscripted, completely off the cuff. I just decided to make it just now. I have written down like a couple of headlines that I want to cover, but that's it. So everything else is just me going ad lib. So hopefully you survived that. And if I happen to waffle about something that really interests you, then let me know in the comments. So as it's New Year's Eve, it's the last day of 2025. I just wanted to make a video reflecting on what I've learned over the past year and looking at things that I want to improve on, things that I want to really dial in on in 2026 as a content creator. So I'm not big on New Year's resolutions. I think they set the expectations way too high. What I rather do is try and use the time to formulate my intentions going forward in 2026 to get some clarity of the direction I want to go in. So when it comes to my content creation, I've come up with a list of just 6 bullet points that are things that I think are really important that I want to really focus on in the coming year. So the first one I've written down here is a really important one for me, and that's make what I want. And what I mean by that is making content that I'm passionate about, making content in the style that I want to make it in, on the topics that I want to make content about, not just making content that I think will hit or that I think will get lots of views. And I think when I look back on the last year, I haven't been focusing on making the type of content that I really want to make, and I've been chasing views, I've been chasing those metrics. And I think it happened towards the end of 2024. I had a video go viral, it blew up, it's got over 30,000 views, which for a channel of my size is pretty good. But it's a really easy trap to fall into, and I think I did, and I think I spent a lot of last year obsessing about my content and overthinking it, trying to perfect the recipe that I had in that viral video, that I ended up not producing even half as much content as I wanted to because I just spent most of the time trapped in my own head. So rather than do that this year, I want to just tap into what I'm passionate about making, what I really want to express and get out in the style that I want to make it, and not be so obsessed with the metrics and the views and the likes and the engagement. So I think my number one thing for next year is to get over this overthinking and obsession about crafting videos to get the most views and likes, and just really try and tap into what I want to create and make that content. And I think that will mean my authenticity will come through, and I think that will help me grow. And all that kind of feeds into the second thing that I've written down here, and probably one of my biggest failings last year as a content creator, which is consistency. So I kind of always had it in my head when I started this channel that I would be posting once a week. And if you look back on the timeline, you'll see that I've come nowhere near meeting that expectation. And I think the problem is that I set myself that goal as a hard New Year's resolution last year, but I didn't put any thought into how I was going to produce one video a week and what could stand in the way of that. Whether I would have time to do all the scripting and the editing, whether I would have a good process around coming up with ideas that would enable me to produce one video a week. I just set this arbitrary thing of one video a week. And then when I didn't hit that target, I just kind of felt a bit deflated and just ended up punishing myself, and that sort of just feeds into that negative cycle. So this year, rather than just saying I'm going to post one video a week, I'm going to just set myself the intention of trying to figure out what the roadblocks are to producing one video a week, and then work on those individual issues. And one of those biggest issues for me is the next thing that I've written down on my list, which is planning. I'm a terrible planner. So I tend to make very reactive content about what I'm currently feeling or thinking, and I just want to express it and get it out. And while that's great, and that means I make videos like this occasionally, which is just me waffling to the camera, that's not long-term sustainable if I want to have a weekly cadence or bi-weekly cadence of content coming out my channel. I need to have a bit more process. I need to have a bit more planning. So there's a few things I want to do next year to try and improve that process. I want to start using a proper content calendar, and rather than just sitting down and thinking, what do I need to make content about today? What I do today should be planning out the content that I'm going to be publishing in 2 weeks. And that gives me enough time to go through the ideation process, to get things scripted and written, to maybe test some ideas out on threads, and have everything run a little bit more like clockwork rather than just this sporadic, I want to make content, sit down, switch on the camera, make a video. So another thing I've got written on my list here, things that I want to focus on next year, it's a little bit more vague, and I just wrote direction. And I think this one is really personal to me because I haven't really figured out yet a true North Star with my content. I kind of know roughly who I'm speaking to. I know the types of issues I want to address. Certainly on this channel, it's sort of small creator struggles and mindset and being a creator over 40. I think I've finished 2025 with a much clearer understanding about what that looks like, but not 100% yet. And I kind of really want to focus in on the real direction that I want to take my content. I don't mean niche. I don't want to use the word niche because that's just too specific. But more, I guess, when you look at anybody on social media, on YouTube, you can kind of think of them as, that person, he does blah, or that person, he's known for X. And I haven't really figured out 100% what that means for me yet. And that's not a bad thing. I think that's a process that you go through, and I think you can only discover the answer to that by making content and by going through the process. It is a process of discovery. But I think that's something I want to keep in the back of my mind going into 2026, that I need to start being a little bit less all over the place and start narrowing I like to call it a North Star, just like something to focus on that is the umbrella for all of my content. But there's a reason I didn't want to use the word niche in that, and that comes down to the last thing I've got down on my list here, which is to diversify and consolidate. I know they sound like two different things, but I have at the moment two main channels. I've got the Craig Unfiltered channel, which is the one you're watching now, and I've got this other channel which is also doing fairly well. It's like I published 5 videos to it, and it's currently got like nearly 800 subscribers, I think. And that's the Enviatics channel. And you might have seen both, I'm not sure. But the Enviatics channel started out before this channel, and it was the one I was focusing on. And I published a couple of DaVinci tutorials, DaVinci Resolve editing tutorials, and they did really well. And they still do really well because it's really evergreen content and it's stuff that people search for. In fact, a lot of the videos on that channel actually get way more views than videos on this channel, even though I haven't touched the channel in ages. But I do want to revive it. I do want to breathe some more life into that channel. But I don't want to be doing DaVinci Resolve tutorials. As I said, one of the first things I said on this list was that I want to be making content I'm passionate about. And I'm just not passionate sitting there making tutorials every day. But I don't want to so much lose the audience. So I've been thinking about how to pivot that channel to make content that I want to make, but also that doesn't sort of just duplicate and conflict the videos I'm making on this channel. And the way I've always thought about it is this channel is more for mindsets, internal struggles, sort of I don't want to say opinions, but more the human side of content creation. And the Enviatics channel more for the how-to, more for the tooling, more for the technical processes. So I think the two can work together as standalone channels, and I also don't think it's good to mix and match those. I don't think people who are coming, let's say, to this channel for help with, creator mindset, for example, with motivation or with overcoming mental blocks or overcoming things like imposter syndrome. That's kind of topics for this channel. And when it comes to how do I do something, how do I use this tool to do X? And as I say, that could be not just DaVinci Resolve anymore. I want to expand that to tooling in the creator space in general. And I think that will be the dividing line between those two channels. So that's the other big thing I'm trying to look at in 2026 is how I can be making content for both channels and maximize the potential of both audiences. And one of the things I think will happen with the Enviatics channel is I might stop calling it Enviatics. As I said, it was a name that came up before I even started this channel. And I think now I might try and bring everything under this, again, I hate to use this buzzword, but the personal brand of Craig, of my brand, and keep this channel as Craig Unfiltered, and then have maybe Craig Creates or Craig does things with tools. I don't know. We'll come up with a name, but brand it more similar to this channel and not just have its own name. So that's kind of what I mean by diversifying, but also consolidating. So consolidating on those particular channels. And I have another idea for another channel as well, but that's a topic for another day. But also diversifying. So I am multi-passioned. I like to speak about different things, and it doesn't make sense to lump all that onto one channel. So even though it is more work and it's spreading itself a bit thin, I do want to kind of work on both channels, at least those two channels simultaneously. And there is one last thing. I think I said the last one was the last thing, but we do have a last thing. No, another thing I really want to look at going forward, and I haven't really paid enough attention to it, and I wrote it down on my list as payoff. And what I mean by that is I'm putting a lot of work into building my content creation career. I'm putting a lot of work into figuring out how to grow, how to build an audience, but I haven't put any thought into the end game. And the end game has to be to make money. Let's just cut to the chase. Yes, I'm building something that I love, and the goal is to build something where I can do what I love for a living. And to do that, I need to get paid. And I think I haven't put any thought into the direction I want to take my content in order to monetize in some way. And I don't mean just hitting 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to get AdSense, because that's more just like a tip. I mean, trying to think about the strategy of my content in a way that will tie into, I don't know, things like brand deals, digital products, affiliate marketing. It's not something I want to do from day one. I'm not there yet in terms of putting all those pieces together, but I need to start creating my content with some kind of intention to get there. And in order to do that, I need to start thinking about what the payoff's going to be. What sort of monetization strategy I really want to be looking at. And for me, that's probably going to be more, I would say, more affiliate marketing and brand deals when it comes to maybe the tooling channel. And on this channel, I'm not sure. It could be a mixture of sort of digital products. It could be brand deals. Again, just having that seed planted so I can kind of know that I'm working towards a goal, working towards something that, like I wrote, that's a payoff. And like I say, that's not something I'm trying to plan out from day one. It's just something I want to start thinking about and start being more intentional about in 2026. So this video has been a bit of a ramble, and I apologize about that, but I kind of think it can be helpful. And I watch some other creators that do their off-the-cuff, behind-the-scenes stuff and just kind of talk to the camera. And it's a bit more real, and it gives me things to think about that they're doing, and hopefully there's some stuff that I'm thinking about that might help you. Like I say, I wrote this little list down over the last week of things that I want to focus on. I had make what I want, consistency, planning, diversify and consolidate, direction, and payoff. And I kind of just wrote those down, and I'm not going to go so far as to stick them to my wall, but I am just going to come back and look at that over the next few weeks as I start to plan out the beginning of my 2026 and how things are going to work going forward, and just make subtle improvements, adjustments. And like I say, they're not New Year's resolutions, they're just formulating my intentions and giving me some thinking points to go forward in 2026. So on that note, like I said, it is the 31st of December 2025, and I'd just like to wish you a really happy new year, and I'll see you in the next one. Push it to the limit, I can't go no more.